हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाये नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादः शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरम् भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We'll begin with the Shanti mantra. Om आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक् प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेयोपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम्। We shall chant the fourth and the fifth mantra of the third section. अथ य एष सम्प्रसादः अस्मात् शरीरात् समुत्थाय परं ज्योतिः उपसम्पद्य स्वेन रूपेण अभिनिष्पद्यत एष आत्मा इति होवाच एतदमृतम् अभयम् एतत् ब्रह्मेति तस्य ह वा एतस्य ब्रह्मणो नाम सत्यमिति तानि ह वा एतानि त्रीणि अक्षराणि सतीयमिति तद्यत्सत् तद् अमृतम् अथ यत्ति तन्मर्त्यम् अथ यद्यं तेन उभे यच्छति यद् अनेन उभे यच्छति तस्मात् यम् अहरहर्वा एवं वित् स्वर्गं लोकमेति. So in this 8th chapter, the teacher begins by giving the upasana on Brahma present in the space within the heart. The teacher also indicates the results of this upasana. Thereafter, the teacher points out that one attains everything in this self alone, because all that we see in this world and all that is gone are all present in this self alone. Hence, one has to strive to attain the self, which is Brahma. So, in order to again help us to purify our mind and gain that single pointedness, the teacher indicates the Nama Upasana. The name of Brahma is indicated as Satyam. And the beauty of this name was also pointed out, where Sa indicates immortality, T indicates mortality, and Yam is that which controls both or understands both. So, Brahma is both that which is immortal and that which is mortal. Like we see the clay not only exists as clay, but clay also exists as pots. And when we just focus our attention on the pots change, the pots break, the pots have their own utility. And the nature of clay is different. But clay alone expresses as clay and pot. Similarly, Brahma alone expresses as immortal as well as mortal. So one has to meditate on this name Satyam, and through this name meditate on that Brahma, which is both immortal as well as mortal, both Nirgun as well as Sagun, both Avyakta as well as Vyakta, both transcendental as well as immanent, both beyond names and forms and expressing in names and forms. That is the beauty. of that Brahma. So if we understand this properly, then there is no confusion. All sorrow, pain, trouble is there when we don't understand things properly. So our misunderstanding itself is cause of our sorrow and our bondage. So when we understand the nature of our own self properly, we transcend all sorrow. So thus conclude this third section. Now we begin the fourth section, and in this fourth section also, the teacher points out a beautiful upasana. He indicates the Atma as a setu, as a bridge, and one can meditate on this Atma as a setu. So, what is it and how to meditate? That we will see. Let us chant mantra number 1, section 4. अथ य आत्मा ससेतुः विद्रुतिः येषां लोकानाम् असम्भेदाय नैतं सेतुम् अहोरात्रे तरतो न जरा न मृत्युः न शोकः न सुकृतं न दुष्कृतं सर्वे पाप्मानः अतो निवर्तन्ते अपहत पाप्मा येष ब्रह्मलोकः. Again, अथ य आत्मा ससेतुः विद्रुतिरेषां लोकानां संभेदाय नैतं सेतुम् अहोरात्रे तरतः न जरा न मृत्युः न शोको न सुकृतं न दुष्कृतं सर्वे पाप्मानः अतो निवर्तन्ते अपहत पाप्मा येष ब्रह्मलोकः. So the teacher says, Atha, now, ya Atma, this is the Atma, this is the Atma. And this Atma is sasetuhu, it is like a bridge. So here, which Atma, Shankaracharya writes, कि उक्त लक्षणों यः संप्रसादः तस्य स्वरूपं वक्ष्यमाणैः उक्तैः अनुरुक्तैः च गुणैः पुनः स्तूयते ब्रह्मचर्य साधन संबंधार्थम. So that Atma is that which was indicated before, having various qualities, and which one attains, which one experiences when one goes to sleep also. When we are in deep sleep, we experience this Atma only. We remain as our own self. And here the teacher is pointing out this Atma and this Upasana, and will also be pointing out the importance of the sadhana of brahmacharya to attain this Atma. So when the term Atma is used, we, in the waking state, we identify with our gross physical body, and we also identify with our senses, our mind, and we consider the body, senses, mind as our Atma, as our own self. The body we consider as I. Depending on the gender, we say I'm a man, I'm a woman, etc. We identify with our senses and say, I see, I hear, I taste, I touch. But these are all upadhis. These are all the conditionings. Free from all these conditionings, that Atma remains in deep sleep. When we are in deep sleep, means when the body, mind, intellect are transcended, that Atma alone remains. That Atma is indicated here by the term Atma. So, Athaya Atma Sasetuhu. This Atma is like a setu. Setu means a bridge. Just as Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra ji also built a setu, Ram Setu, to go to cross the ocean and reach Lanka. So that is the Setu. And it is a Setu in such a way that the water is not stopped. The water continues to flow, but it builds, the bridge is built so that we can cross. But here the term Setu is not only indicate this bridge, sa setuhu iti setu, it also indicate that which supports. So vidhrutihi vidharanaha anena hi sarvam jagat varnashramadi kriyakaraka faladi bheda niyamaihi kartru anurupam vidhadata vidhrutam. Shankaracharya ji writes, कि this Atma is called Setu because it supports all this world, not only this earth, but also the other worlds are all supported by this Atma Setu. And it supports the world by maintaining the order in this world, like Varna, Shrama, Dharma, etc. So among human beings, we have our own dharma, our karma, and our karma is based on Varna and Ashrama. Because based on our gunas, we fall under these four categories of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and also depending on our age, we fall under various ashrams like Brahmacharya ashram, Grahastha ashram, Vanprastha ashram, Sannyas ashram, and remaining in this Varna and in the respective ashrams, one does various types of karma. So Kriya, Karaka, Phala, and based on our karma, we get the results also. So all this is managed, or all this happens, and all these are supported by this Atma. Shankaracharya ji further writes कि अध्रियमाणं हि ईश्वरेण इदं विश्वं विनश्येत् यतः तस्मात् स सेतुः विधृतिः. Here Shankaracharya ji calls this Atma as Ishvara only. He says without this Ishvara, the whole world will get destroyed. Supported by Ishvara alone, this whole world exists, and all the various functions happen in this world. So in the Mandukya Upanishad also, the three states of experience are described, and then the fourth is also pointed out as Turiyam. The three states are described as Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti, and the real nature of that Atma as Turiya is also pointed out. So while talking about this Sushupti, the teacher calls it Ishvara only. So Esha Sarveshwaraha, Esha Sarvatnyaha. In this way, the mantra describes this Sushupti Avastha. So when we are in deep sleep, means when the mind, intellect are transcended, then that I am one with Ishvara only. There is no difference between the Sushupta Atma and Ishvara. And that Ishvara alone is the support of this entire creation. And Ishvara alone supports all activities and also gives the results of activities to all beings. And here that support is indicated by the term Setu. So Setuhu Vidhritihi, that which holds, that which supports. So Athaya Atma Sa Setuhu. So one has to meditate on this Atma as Setu, as a support. Also, through that Atma alone, what we experience, we will be able to realize our own supreme nature. So it is a bridge, it is a way to finally recognize ourselves. Therefore, Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi Ji also used to advise all seekers to find out who you are, who am I, inquire. Who is this I? What is the nature of this I? Because that is the only thing which is so very constant. See, we try to inquire about the world constantly changes. Right from our childhood, all that we experience about the world has changed. Not only the outer world, but our body, our mind, everything changes constantly. But there is one thing which has not changed, and that is I. And that I which is free from all upadhis, which I remain as that I in my deep sleep. So that I is like a bridge, is like a way also to recognize my real self. Again, the beauty of this Setu is revealed in this mantra. The teacher further says, कि एषाम लोकानाम असंभेदाय न एतम सेतुम अहोरात्रे तरतः. This Setu which protects all this world, not only this world but the other worlds also, this Setu is such, this Atma is such that day and night cannot touch it. Shankaracharya writes, कि किम अर्थम स सेतुः, why is it called Setu? Iti aha, says, I will tell you. Esham bhuradinam lokanam, all these lokas, including the earth and other lokas, kartru karma phalashrayanam, which depends on the doer, the instruments of doing, the actions, the results of action. Asambhedaya avidaranaya avinashaya iti etat. This Setu, this Atma, is the support of this world. And what is its beauty? Kim Vishishtam Asau Setuhu iti aha. Naitam Setuhu Atmanam Ahoratre Sarvasya Janimataha Parichedake Sati Naitam Tarataha. He said that day and night cannot touch this Atma. See, when we look into this world, time touches this world. Everything is everything is touched and everything is affected by time. Time is such that we just cannot stop it. Time doesn't stop. It keeps on moving. And when it moves, it doesn't move just like that softly, smoothly. It changes everything. Everything changes. Within short time, things change in this world. Even in the world of humanity, if you see, the nations, they change, the politics change, the style of working change, lifestyle change. Like we had this COVID, all things change in the whole world during that period. So everything in this world is touched by time. But there is one thing where time doesn't touch it, and that is my own self, yourself. It is not touched by time. It remains same. When you had gone to sleep as a little child, you experience that peaceful, blissful sleep. That is your own nature. See, when I wake up from my sleep, I say I slept happily. So from where did this happiness come? From where did this peace come? It is my own nature itself. It did not come from my mind. Mind was not functioning. It did not come from my senses. The senses were not functioning. It did not come from this body or from this world. We didn't experience them. So that peace and bliss which we experience in our deep sleep is the very expression of our own self. And that remains same. Even now when we go to sleep, we experience the same self. It doesn't change. Time cannot touch it. Therefore it is said, कि अहोरात्रे न तरतः. The day and night cannot cross it. Cross it means it cannot touch it. It cannot attain it. Naitam setuhu atmanam ahoratre sarvasya janimatah parichedake sati naitam taratah. This time which can touch everything in this world cannot touch that Atma. Yatha ne samsariṇah kāleṇa ahoratrādilakshaneṇa parichedya na tatha ayam kāla parichedyah iti abhiprāyah. Yasmād arvāk samvatsaro ahobhi parivartate. Shankaracharya ji quotes from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, कि below this Atma alone, all this time it moves and changes everything. And Atma remains above all this change. See, just as we watch a movie, a lot of changes happen in the movie, but those changes, all those changes do not touch the screen behind. And those changes also do not touch me who is watching that movie. Similarly, all the changes which are happening in this world do not touch that Atma. So one has to meditate on this Atma. Further, he says, Shankaracharya writes, कि अत एव एनम न जरा तरति न प्राप्नोति तथा. Also, old age cannot touch this Atma. Our body becomes old. It gets affected by time. But Atma is not touched by this body. See, very interesting. When you look at your body, you might know your age. You might say, oh, I'm so many years old. But if you just close your eyes and shift your attention away from your body, then can you tell your age? If you just drop your attention from the body and then shift it towards your own self, then what is your age? You don't have any age because the time doesn't touch, and you don't have, therefore there is no old age for this Atma. Old age doesn't touch it. Jara na jara tarati na prapnoti tatha. And what about death? He says na mrityuhu. Even death doesn't touch the Atma. Atma doesn't die. Body dies. Body dies means it just drops off, but the material which has gone to become our body, the same material goes to become somebody else's body then. Everything gets recycled. See, all of us who are there on this earth, our body is made up of the same material which were the material which made the bodies of our forefathers. So the same material is recycled. Not only the material of the forefathers, but also about the animals, birds, plants. Everything gets recycled. So body gets dropped. The mind, intellect change goes from one body to another body. But that Atma doesn't die. There is no death for me. I don't die. There is no death for me. What about sorrow? It says, na shokaha. There is no sorrow for that Atma. Sorrow is another, just a thought in the mind, emotions in the mind. However unhappy, sad, disturbed we might be, when we go to sleep, no disturbance touches us. When we are one with our own self, no disturbance touches us. There is no sorrow, there is no pain, there is no suffering. So, na shokaha, na sukrutam, na dushkrutam. And there is no sukrut means punya. And na dushkrutam, there is no papa. Sukruta, dushkruta, dharma, dharma. There is no dharma and there is no adharma touching that Atma. Means Atma, myself, is not touched by pap and punya, dharma and adharma. See, when our dress becomes dirty, we just remove it. And inside we are not dirty. Similarly, the outer dress, our body, our mind, they have problems. They become old. They have sorrow, pain, suffering. But when I transcend this dress and remain as my own self, in that self, there is no sorrow, there is no punya, there is no papa, there is no dharma, there is no adharma. प्राप्ति ही अत्र तरण शब्देन अभिप्रेता न अतिक्रमणम. The term prapti is used here the term taranam is used in this mantra, which has to be taken as prapti, as attainment. Literally, the mantra says that day and night cannot transcend the Atma. Shankaracharya says you need not use the term transcend. You have to understand the transcend as attainment. So day and night cannot attain that Atma. Old age and death cannot attain that Atma. Sorrow, punya, papa, dharma, dharma cannot attain the Atma. They cannot touch the Atma. They cannot attain it. And why? Karanam hi Atma, because Atma is the cause. And all these are effect. The world is an effect. And all that is happening in this world, everything is an effect. And Atma is the cause. Just like the clay is the cause and pots, etc., are the effects. Similarly, Atma is the cause, and this world, all beings, all karma phala, are all the results, are effects. So, na shakyam hi karanati kramanam kartum karyena. Therefore, an effect cannot transcend the cause. Effect cannot transcend, go beyond the cause. A pot cannot go beyond clay. Ornaments cannot go beyond gold. There is nothing beyond ornaments. The ornaments cannot transcend itself like that. They cannot transcend gold. So effect cannot transcend the cause. Therefore, all these things cannot transcend that Atma. So ahoratradicha sarvam satah karyam. So all these are only karya, effect. Day and night, sorrow, death, life, all these are effects. So they cannot touch that cause. See, just as the pot is there, is an effect. And clay is the cause. So suppose I break the pot. Will that break clay? No. Clay cannot be broken. Pot can be broken. So all these things affect the pot, but it cannot affect the clay. Similarly, all this happening in this world cannot touch that Atma. Annena hi anyasya praptihi atikramanam vakriyeta. So in the world itself, one can go from one place to another place. One can attain something. One can do something. All this is possible between and among the effects, but the effects cannot touch the cause. Effect, in fact, dissolves into the cause. The ornament dissolves into gold. Ornaments cannot touch gold. न तो तेनैव तस्य न हि घटेन मृत प्राप्यते अतिक्रम्यते वा. Shankaracharya ji gives example of this pot and clay only. He says the pot cannot attain clay, nor can it transcend clay. Such words cannot be used between pot and clay. Similarly, the time, sorrow, old age, death, punya, papa cannot touch Atma. Further, the mantra says, अतः निवर्तन्ते दुष्कृतं सर्वे पापमानः अतः निवर्तन्ते. That anything tries to touch this Atma, without touching it, it turns back. Means it cannot reach that Atma. The sorrow, pain, trouble cannot reach that Atma. And this we can experience in our life. With our experience of this deep sleep, nothing can touch it. All our joy, sorrow, worldly love, attachment, everything remains behind. Everything remains behind. See, we say that I love you so much and I will always be with you. But when I go to sleep, I leave everyone behind. Nothing can go reach there. That is the nature of this Atma. Apahata papma. It is untouched by all papa. So ahoratrayukta. Apahata papma. Hesha. It is untouched by papa punya. And yesha brahma eva. And this itself, this Atma itself is Brahma. Therefore it is called Brahmalok. So apahata paisha brahmaiva lokaha brahmaloka uktaha. So this Atma itself is indicated here as Brahmalok. Brahmalok means Brahma itself. So when we go to sleep, the scripture also says that I go to Brahmalok or I attain Swargalok. Means I attain my own self, which is Brahma. So, in this mantra, the teacher is pointing out meditation on Atma as a setu, as a support of all these worlds, on that Atma which is not touched by time, Atma which is not touched by joys and sorrows, old age, death. That is the Atma, our own self. So meditate on this Atma. Further, in the next mantra, the teacher says, what happens when we meditate on this Atma? Tasmad va etam setum tirtva andhasan anandho bhavati viddhasan aviddho bhavati upatapi san anupatapi bhavati tasmad va etam setum tirtva api naktam aharevabhi nispadyate सकृत विभातः एष वैष ब्रह्मलोकः. Again, तस्माद् वा एतं सेतुं तीर्त्वा अन्धः सन् अनन्धो भवति विद्धः सन् अविद्धो भवति उपतापी सन् अनुपतापी भवति तस्माद् वा एतं सेतुं तीर्त्वा अपि नक्तम अहरेव अभिनिष्पद्यते सकृद् विभातः हे वैष ब्रह्मलोकः. So we have to meditate and attain this Atma. We have to realize our own inner self. And what will happen when we attain that Atma? Tasmadva etam setum tirtva. When we attain this setu, means this Atma, which is indicated here as a bridge, as a setu. So tasmadva etam setum tirtva, having attained this setu, andhassan anando bhavati. If a person is blind, will become free of his blindness. Tasmadva etam atmanam setum tirtva prapya anando bhavati dehavatve purvam andho api san. Identified with the body, if a person is blind, but when he attains this Atma, he is no longer blind. He becomes free of his blindness. Viddhaha san, if a person is wounded, identified with this body, if he is wounded, the body is wounded, lot of pain, lot of suffering is there. But when he attains that Atma, he becomes free of all his wounds. So Viddaha san aviddho bhavati. While being in this body, if a person is upatapi, is having some afflictions, disturbance, sorrow, some suffering, but having this, attain this Atma, Upatapi bhavati, becomes free of all this sorrow, suffering, pain. So that Atma is not very far away. One doesn't have to go to far off some places, Haridwar, Rishikesh, Gangotri, Jamnotri, Manas Sarovar, Kailash. You don't have to go anywhere. You have to go within. You have to seek that Atma which is present all the time, but we fail to recognize it because of this disturbance or our attention which is disturbed through identification with the body, mind, objects of this world, etc. So when we identify with our own true self, then all the afflictions, pain, sorrow trouble of the body, the mind gets dropped instantly. So, upatapi bhavati. Tasmad va etam setum tirtva. Therefore, when we attain this setu, when we attain this Atma, see, for this we don't have to even become too scholarly, we don't have to study Sanskrit, we don't have to do some special research. Every one of us, we have the experience of our own self. We have to just drop all our other identification and abide in ourself as we are. And that self alone will take care of everything. See, for example, if you have to sit and meditate, but if you have to transcend your identification body and all, it becomes so difficult. Again and again, our attention shifts towards the body only. But when we are sleepy, then automatically, effortlessly, spontaneously, we transcend the body and go into that deep sleep, dreamless sleep. There are people who can sleep anywhere during pravachans, on the road, in the bus, in the crowded train, in the marketplace. Just fall asleep. And when they are in that sleep, they have transcended this world. The sorrows of this world do not disturb them. The sorrows of their body do not disturb them. See, even doctors and all, they give anesthesia to the patient. It is like putting the patient into deep sleep. And then they cut the body, they remove the organ, they put some new organ, they replace the blood, and they do all sorts of things. They cut the bones and put some nut and bolt and all sorts of things. It doesn't affect this person at all because he has transcended the body. So this an enlightened person does even while awake, even when the body appears to be there and the world is seen. They transcend everything and remain abiding in their own self. Therefore, even if a person is blind, he becomes free of blindness. Even if a person is wounded, he becomes free of all his wounds. If a person is afflicted, becomes free of all his afflictions. Tasmad va etam setum tirtva nattam ahareva abhinispadyate. Having attained this Atma, even the dark night becomes like a day. Dark night becomes like a day means he attains that Atma which is like a day, means it is like that pure knowledge which is indicated as light. So Atma is the light of knowledge, light of consciousness. Tamo rupam ratri api sarva ahareva abhi nispadyate. Because the swarupa of this Atma is Jyoti, Vijnapti, Atma Jyoti hi swarupam. Atma is of the nature of light, light of consciousness, light of knowledge. Atma is not jada, it is not inert, but it is of the nature of light. So even darkness becomes light when one attains Atma. Sakrut vibhataha hi eva esha brahmalokaha. Because this Brahmalok, this Atma itself is indicated here as Brahmalok, means which is Brahma, shines, Sakrut Vibhataha, it shines because it is of the nature of light. So Sakrut Vibhataha hi eva esha Brahmaloka nishpadyate. So thus one should meditate on this Atma as the Setu. One more mantra is there. Let us chant that mantra also. Tadya evaitam brahmalokam brahmacharyena anuvindati tesham eva esha brahmalokaha tesham sarveshu lokeshu kamacharo bhavati. So one who attains this brahmalok means one who attains this Atma, which is Brahma, which is indicated here as Brahmalok. And how one can attain is Brahmacharyena. So here the teacher is giving importance to the sadhana of Brahmacharya. And what is Brahmacharya? Brahmacharya is that sadhana by which one can attain this Atma. So Brahmacharyena anuvindati tesham eva esha brahmalokaha. To them alone is this Brahmalok. Tesham sarveshu lokeshu kamacharo bhavati. And such a person becomes free, gains free, he attains any loka if he wants. The entire cosmos becomes his loka. He can attain anything. One who attains his self attains everything. So what is Brahmacharya? Shankaracharya ji writes, Brahmacharyena stri vishaya trishna tyagena. For a man to give up attachment for a woman, and for a woman to give up attachment for a man. And not only that, कि शास्त्र आचार्य upadesham anuvindati, and to follow the teachings of a teacher and the shastra. So we should follow the teachings of the teacher, but before that we have to give up our attachment to man, woman. This is taken as the strongest attachment. The man-woman attachment is strongest. So by saying that we have to drop this strongest attachment, the teacher is also saying that you should drop all other attachment also. So dropping all attachment to people, place, things, beings, status, wealth, name, fame, dropping everything, we have to approach a teacher, learn from the teacher, and meditate and attain our own self. So only those who can drop everything and approach a teacher will be able to attain their own self. More about this we will see in our class on Friday. So till then you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana, listen to the pravachan again, contemplate, think, and see you again on Friday. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, बोलिए सियावर रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम।